Hello and welcome to Calm the Pharm podcast, where pharmacy business meets legal wisdom, minus the headache. In each episode, we share practical legal tips and real-life examples to help you run your pharmacy with confidence. I'm your host, Sarah Stoddart. Thanks very much for joining us. We've had a few weeks off due to the joys of winter illness affecting my voice, but we're back and ready and raring to go. This week on the podcast, I'm talking about AI, and in particular, AI in relation to the provision of legal services and providing instructions to your lawyer regarding the services you want. Now, of course, I'm thinking about this in a pharmacy context in the pharmacy clients that I work with. However, it's general information that could be really applied to any scenario. So what we're finding lately is we are receiving instructions from people to do things, which is fine. Let's say it's, for example, preparing a trust deed or maybe preparing a partnership agreement. Now we're preparing that document, sending it to the client, and obviously they're then putting it through AI. Of course, that is their prerogative to do that. However, that's then resulting in AI, who is a bit of a people pleaser, spitting out a heap of recommendations, which are then being fed back to us without, firstly, any context of the scenario or the circumstances giving rise to the document, and secondly, without any understanding of what AI is actually recommending. So what I mean by that is, in relation to the first point, AI isn't aware of the circumstances surrounding a partnership that we may have discussed with our client and used in drafting that actual document. And secondly, the recommendations being made by AI are often in isolation, looking only at the document and not having regard to, for example, the relationship or the regulatory environment. So the problem that then results from that is we are asking our clients to clarify these instructions that are being provided to us, and they're not really sure how to clarify it because they don't understand the instructions that were provided in the first place because it was spat out by AI and simply copied and pasted to us. This then leads to broader issues. So the main issue, of course, is that when the documents are run through AI and AI is coming back in its people-pleasing way saying that certain things have been missed, the key issues there are, as I've mentioned, it's analysing the document and the particular clause in isolation and also against generic documents. So it's not having regard to the circumstances, the actual deal that's been struck, etc. So very much out of context. As I mentioned, it also has no regard to the regulatory environment in which the partnership deed has to exist. And of course, for us, that's the pharmacy and healthcare environment, and how that regulatory environment may actually impact on the partnership. As an overarching comment, it has no regard to the actual commercial logic of the deal. So ultimately, that's resulting in what AI is producing is being wrong because it doesn't have regard to the bigger picture. It's very much considering it in isolation. So that happens, the client may be unaware of that, the information is coming back to us, and we're then having to decipher, firstly, where does these comments fit into the context of the document that we're working on? And secondly, does the client actually know what it is they're asking us to do with this information they've obtained from AI? So that is resulting in a situation where we are having to take more time to clarify the situation with a client. And then there's an awkwardness, I guess, between us and the client, because sometimes the client doesn't want us to know that they've utilised AI, despite that being very obvious. So there then becomes a bit of an issue between all involved, resulting ultimately in delays in finalising the document and maybe some friction in actually clarifying the situation. So how do we resolve this? Now, I'm not saying don't use AI. AI is a part of life. But I am saying if you're going to put something into AI, firstly, make sure you're giving it context, or if you're not comfortable doing that for privacy, security, and other reasons, then it's okay to run it through and get comments. However, you then need to apply those comments in the context of what is actually going on rather than taking them as gospel or mandatory to then put into the document. So This is leading to a situation, I suppose, which is heightening the need for connection and collaboration with your advisors. So if you're going to ask your advisor to do something, they do it, send it back to you, you chuck it through AI, send it back to them. It's kind of this triangle. So the dangerous triangle then can result in relationship breakdown with your advisors, etc. It's much better to be collaborative and actually connect with your advisors, sit down, talk about what it is you want, and nut out the document together. That will then result in a more tailored document, better suited to your needs, and that you actually understand. And of course, this is really important, that you do actually understand the documents that you're entering into. So that's my rant on AI today. Certainly not saying don't use it. I'm just saying use it wisely and don't let it impact on the relationship with your advisors. Thanks. I'll talk to you next week.